Community Beacon, Fridays at 6:30 EST, with your hosts Michaeldseville and Joel Simmons. A channel whose focus is liberty. A place where the lessons discussed and taught will create openings to a more open and freer mindset. A mindset where you may reach the height of your potential and excel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Joel.
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing I'm doing great. A lot of last minute fixing. I'm looking at myself like, that didn't look right, but I'm here, man. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, man, blessed by the best, and I'm here with you, so I'm really glad about that.
Absolutely, guys. Welcome. It is Community Beacon, which means that it is 6:30. It's Friday. We are here live. Like the brother said, we are blessed to be here. I'm Mike Seville. You see my sign in the background. You're a real estate agent. You're a real estate mogul. I'm excited about today's show. And on the other side of the screen, of course, we got the co-host with the most, my brother from another mother, Mr. Joe, the motivatorpreneur for the Tenacity Foundation. What is going on, brother?
Hey, man, just glad to be here. Another day on this side of the grass is a good thing. I'm definitely grateful to be present in here with you, man, because it's like, this is a beautiful thing. I enjoy this time with you, man. I'm telling you, though, I'm about ready for us to break out of these rooms and really record something live and, get down with the get down, because I think it's about that time anyway.
Right. Hey, and that energy in the room, I gotta say, I still feel your energy from this side. And until that day comes, here we are. Guys, let me get through some quick housekeeping. Let's get through the housekeeping. What it takes. I'm still doing what it takes. It's still Mondays. It's still set at 9 o'clock. I'm actually enjoying it. I feel like I'm I'm reaching another level of clarity within my business. Of course, I'm sharing with you guys everything that I'm doing in my business and some things that I think that you possibly can do, and you don't really have to pay for the coaching, right? A lot of people are paying for coaching, and you should pay for coaching if you can afford to pay for coaching. Oftentimes, if we can't afford to pay for coaching, that's when we really need to be in coaching. But I'm definitely sharing some business things that I'm finding out along as I do my travels. It was a great show. Come check me out Mondays at 9 o'clock. What it takes. Last month was clarity. This month we're really getting into the weeds of doubling down on what it is we need to do to finish out this quarter, the last quarter of the year, which can be your most successful quarter. But you definitely at the least wanted to be able to shoot your momentum going into January. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, we have It Starts With Who? Brother, it starts with me. And that's exactly who it starts with. So, the brother's doing interviews with all people from different walks of life. We talking about entrepreneurs. We're talking about authors. We're talking about psychologists. We're talking about coaches. We're talking about therapists. We're talking about business people, very successful business people. Brother, who do you have on the show this upcoming Wednesday?
All right, so we got James Hepner coming up soon. This was actually a really special interview right here. I remember this guy. I was just thinking about him just a moment, trying to jog my memory, and he was pretty special. This episode broke down to just about tears. So I think you all will enjoy this one. There was a lot of good that came out of it.
Absolutely, man. Guys, tune in Wednesdays at 12:30, dropping videos. I feel like I saw 2 videos drop last week Wednesday. I feel like I saw 2 videos drop on YouTube. I'm not sure. It popped up in my feed. So, guys, go check out those videos. Excellent information. Definitely some great interviews being done on Wednesdays with the Joel and the Tenacity Foundation over there and his different guests. And then, of course, we're back here on Friday for Community Beacon each and every Friday. Guys, remember to like, subscribe, share, engage. That's our oxygen. It helps out with our algorithms. And so we appreciate you guys for doing that. Last month, brother, we spoke on getting clear. Last month, we had a full month of October about getting clear on your goals, really starting to write them down, really start to figure out what our metrics are going to be moving into the year. Because once you understand your metrics, your KPIs, which is your key performance indicators, you kind of know how you're progressing. And I'm telling you, people, you get more excited about your daily activities once you understand that, okay, there's a progression involved in it. We can go back, we can look and say, okay, this is where we were and this is where we're at. Because oftentimes we don't really take a look back at what it was that we've done. We don't know how far we've come. And so if you don't know how far you've come, you're more likely to quit because you may in your mind feel like there was no progression. So progression moves us out of our comfortability. If you missed any of those episodes, go back and check those episodes out. A lot of them were pretty short for our standings. You know, we had a lot of things going on. Of course, there was a hurricane. Still, prayers going out to those people who are affected by that. Us here in the southeast side of Florida, we're doing well. Some great weather in the last couple of days. So, you know, go check out those episodes, get clear on what your goals are, etc. And then, of course, this month, brother, we had a decent conversation yesterday. We were on the phone for about an hour. And I'm telling you, time is relative. I think we spoke before about time not actually being real and being in the presence. And that is the power of time is being present during it. And I'm telling you, every time me and the brother hook up and we have these conversations, I mean, and we can talk about, I would say we could talk about nothing. We're always talking about something. But yesterday we kind of spoke about some of the things that you're going through, some of the things that you're reading, things that are touching you, and in regards to, you know, your mindset, etc. And then, you know, what's the book? You've just finished reading Will, is that correct?
Yeah. So the latest book that I just read was Will. I think that was actually magnificent. Will Smith. I applaud you for that one. That was good. It was told, and I actually listened to the Audible. I really enjoyed Audible, especially when it's like an autobiography, because it's like you're there with that person, you know. So if you can't get in contact with Will Smith and talk with them face to face, read the book. Same thing with Jamie Villalobos. I enjoyed her book, Happy and Strong. That book was amazing. So, and I know her. So being able to hear her read through her book was like sitting right there with her. As a matter of fact, we're making a trip up there to go see her in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to hang out with her and Sean Villalobos and a bunch of other guys. So it's going to be an amazing thing that we're going to end up doing. I'm really looking forward to this because their mentorship and leadership is absolutely amazing. I want to get back to, what it is that we want to talk about this month, how to make a relationship, how to make a relationship or business meaningful and successful, and we're going to be breaking this thing down in multiple different ways, but we just want y'all to understand this is what's going on this month, because it was like, after these different sessions that we have had over these last couple of months, dealing with time and then dealing with what it takes or what we're going to do, gaining clarity going forward, and Mike dropping all those different those diamonds, those jewels about how you need to be taking care of your taxes and whatnot. I definitely have an experience that I want to share with you in just a moment in regards to that. But it's about these relationships that we're developing or that we're destroying, and businesses that we're developing or we're destroying, on a track to have meaningful or successful, businesses, relationships. This is crucial. The thought process, the mindset, where exactly am I going? Where are you going? How will I get there? So that's what we're talking about this month.
I love it, brother. And you said destroying, which is such a powerful word. And I'm gonna tell you, and let me tell you how, because destroying, we're talking about the actual breakdown of something. And one of the easiest ways to break things down, and what I've realized in regards to, like you mentioned, we'll be talking about relationship, purpose, and business. The easiest way to destroy a relationship, your purpose, or where you're headed, or your business, is like through neglect, right? Like if you just can neglect something, you put it on the back burner. I'm going to get to it later. I'm going to get to it later. The business part, I'll make that phone call later. I'll follow up a little bit later. You know, your purpose. Oh, we'll put that off on, you know, till tomorrow or next week, you know, for whatever reason, because you don't necessarily have a process in order to make these things happen. Like you, through neglect, I think that's like the erosion, you know, starting of the erosion process on your way to the destruction of this entire thing, right? So one of the things that I've been thinking about, and I don't know if I've mentioned it before, and I like to break things down into very simple steps, and I like to do them in threes, is like process, communication, and market knowledge, or knowledge. I call it market knowledge because I'm in the real estate industry. So it's knowledge for whatever business you have. And those are like the three things that you have to be, it has to be concise, it has to be clear, and it has to be able to be just, these are the things that you just have to be able to understand. Those three things. You need to understand your processes. So whether it's a relationship, what's the process in your relationship, etc. Like how do you do things? You got to be clear on that. What's the communication like? If we're talking about relationship or business or purpose, like how do you communicate? Like these are things that you need to steadily be working on. And of course, the knowledge of the situation. If it's a partnership, if it's a relationship, it's like you really need to know the other person. You need to understand the other person. That way you communicate the way that they understand. So these three things, by neglecting any of these things, by neglecting these different things that we'll be talking about, these subjects we'll be talking about throughout the month, that either promotes the destruction of it, or it could promote the flourishing, the flourishing of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm excited, definitely excited about this month, because a lot of these things I'm continuously working on, because it's like you can never perfect any of this stuff. The moment you think you have it, you might lose it, because it's you know, we're steadily, and this is just life, or it should be life. This is how we should start thinking about life, is that it's a progression, and through the progressions we have to continuously make adjustments. We have to continuously be getting better, because what doesn't grow, ultimately, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. So I mean, 100% I agree with that. I like the way you said that. You know, the process. The process, and then what was your second one?
It's process, communication, and knowledge.
Process, communication, and knowledge. And I think that you mentioned before also to over communicate. You know.
Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, because like here's the thing about communication. I had this conversation with an individual, and they were asking me something, and they were actually, what they were doing was they were going down this road, this pathway of the impossible feat. And when they laid this in front of me, I began to hear something. What I heard is that they Michael type it. But what I heard is that they were giving up on something. There's no way around it. And maybe there isn't a way around it. Maybe it just is what it is. I know I don't like to go by that philosophy. I know my brother Mike don't like to go by that philosophy. It is what we make it, is more like what we intend to. That's our process. It is what we make it, you know. But nonetheless, okay, so they dropped this thing on me. They're like, okay, so what if, because my thought process is like, listen, mentorship, we're talking about a business format and raising people to be able to take on different types of work ethics, volumes, or job descriptions, right? And so what we are looking at is that all of a sudden you look around and you see someone in a management position that does not have the capacity, nor the ability, nor the desire to be able to spread the knowledge, to communicate the knowledge, or to secure the process in his downline. And so you have a block. There's a block right there. and there's nothing else that you can do about that block, right? That was the thought process. It's all over with. So I'm like, listen, he that is mentored should be mentored, right? Or he that is mentoring should be mentored. So it's a three-part process. If you're mentoring somebody, that means you have a mentee, right? And that means that if you're mentoring, you should be mentoring. You should be gaining mentorship yourself. Everybody. This is like down the line, as soon as you're old enough to mentor somebody, then you should start mentoring them so that they can be better than you. But you need to continuously gain mentorship, or you will no longer be able to gain the heights and the levels that you desire to have. You're going to be the one who loses out. And the person you're mentoring may meet up with you and then surpass you. Just like what you were saying, Mike, right? Something about,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the route you're going down.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love, and I'm going to tell you what, when you're mentoring, that drives the lesson home. You know what I mean? Because I think if you can't teach it, and you can't teach it at such a basic level that someone, who doesn't necessarily have the knowledge or is new to the industry or new to whatever it is, if you can't teach that to someone, then you don't really how can you understand it? And then when you're in something like client services, this is even better for people who are in client services, right? Like I'm in real estate, I'm in client services, and hey, even if you have your products, there's some excellent products out there. Or there's some people who have some excellent services as well, but they can't quite communicate it. I can't tell you the amount of, and I was this way at once, brilliant, or just knew the information. I call myself brilliant. Did you catch that? Or just knew the information so well, but could not communicate that to the prospect. So even though, is it me? So even though you probably can service the client the best, even though your product may be the best for the client, you don't know how to communicate it. And not only communicate it, and here's where the mentoring someone else or mentoring multiple people come in, is that everyone hears differently. Brother, you mentioned something, you said something about communication and over communication. And how we communicate things is not it may not be the easiest path, because you have different people understand things differently. People hear things differently because of filters, because of personality types, because of experiences, etc. So you have to be able to talk in the language of the people. So if you're talking to this one person, whether you're talking to I think we're giving them a lot on the first week. Normally the first week we just cover what we're going to talk about, but we're feeling it right now, is that people all hear things differently. So being able to mentor a multiple amount of people is excellent, because now this person's hearing this way, this person hears this way. Then you mentioned that you should be mentored as well, or else the person may surpass you. Even your mentor, the most brilliant person in the world has this much knowledge. My mentor is 85. Shouts out to Jim Wolf. And I bring him up often because he's taught me so much. Like he's forgotten things that I'm just learning. He's just a wealth of information, and he's still seeking information. It's an 85-year-old guy still seeking information, still seeking to understand. So it's like if it never stops. It never stops. Like once again, you're either progressing or you're dying or you're growing or what. But you mentioned something. You said you and a couple of people are going to be going to see some of your coaches in a couple of weeks. Is that correct? So this is it's the seeking of the knowledge that I think is huge. And then getting in a room, and I'm telling you, whatever you and I already know you, so I speak highly of you. They're going to learn so much from you as well, because they're going to say, "Oh, whoa, I didn't know this." Because here's one of the great things about when you talk to people who are newer in a business or a business, or getting into a program, or just being a mentor, is that now you can see things from a different angle, right? And you can see, okay, well, I was going A, B, C when I can actually just jump from A to D because this person is bringing in this fresh information, this fresh insight. You're coming from a different organization. You're coming from a different background. Everyone's come from different backgrounds. Or maybe we can communicate this better. I'm telling you, that understanding your processes inside and out, and then being able to communicate that process and understand how to communicate to your clients or whoever it may be, that just proposes, that propels you into a whole different stratosphere, and just to continuously working on it. Man, I think this month we're talking about, I say we're going into the fourth quarter, and there were 3 things that I mentioned. One of them was doubling down on your skills. I think once we start to double down on all of our skills, and what I mean by doubling down on your skills is just continuously learning. Just getting deeper into what it is that we're supposed to be doing, right? Getting deeper, continuously learning, going on going to meet your coaches in person, because the synergy that's going to be created in that room is going to be amazing. I can't even imagine what's going to happen, because once you get that synergy going, 1 + 1 no longer equals 2 people. We're not playing on a regular playing field. We're taking it up. And this is what you want in business. This is what you want in life. You want the unfair advantage.
I love that, man. I actually have a lot to say about the unfair advantage. I do want to kind of close out a little bit more of that last piece of the conversation that we had, because I had left off on just a little piece. So if we can, I want to go back to that unfair advantage in just a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I was building into was the whole mentor, the tri-level of mentorship, is that while discussing this with this specific individual, and their blockage was that they needed to make an individual do something, and that individual would no longer, and go ahead and put it back up, Anna, would no longer put the process out, was not willing to communicate well, and the knowledge that they were gaining from their upline, they didn't want to bring that up. Is that what, did you have that banner, Anna? So anyway, that was the thing. And so this is what it came down to, is like the reason behind the over communication, right? The reason behind the over communication is because with that communication, the communication is so imperative. It's like you don't know exactly what is being taught. So I gave an example. If I'm the CEO and I take my 2 lieutenants and I tell my 2 lieutenants, listen, process communication knowledge, this, that, and the other. And then the 2 lieutenants take it to their 4 supervisors. And they have this meeting with 4 supervisors. And they're like, process, I need you guys to repeat this process. I need you to make sure that you're talking to all your guys. And I need you to make sure that you're passing on what I'm saying. And then these 4 guys take it to their 50 guys each, right? And they're like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. And, I want to make sure that, you guys are talking about how you're doing this, and make sure you read the book. And by that time, that process has come down that hill. It's lost the value. It was process communication knowledge. And by the time it got to the 50, it was a total different thing. I mean, now we're talking about telling guys to just, huddle together and come up with their own idea. That might be what they're thinking, and to read a book when the knowledge came direct. So in order to get that knowledge direct, that communication direct, that process direct, sometimes you have to limit the amount of levels that it goes through. You have to stop sifting out the good, because that's what happens. The more you send it through this communication disaster, is by sending it through multiple people. This is what we learned in kindergarten, y'all. And this is my point. Telephone don't work. So go play it in the office. Play it in the office. Say, hey, listen, Mr. CEO, I want to try this. Tell me something. I'm going to pass it around this room of 20 people, and let's see what we end up with. Give me a command. And if you can go through 20 people and get that command like that without losing an A or an I, then yeah, y'all got some good communication skills. But if you lose an A or an I, just remember that could be your bottom line. That could be the reason why your business is failing. That can also be the reason why your family is failing, why your kids don't trust you, or why your wife doesn't trust you, or why your husband doesn't trust you. It could be the difference in paying your light bill or paying for a meal out on the road. Hey, honey, just use this bank, but you don't tell her to use the credit, the checking one or checking two. So she uses checking two. Well, that's the one that you have planned for the electric bill, automatic. And now the money's not there. And when you hit it for the automatic, it sends you a bill because you got an NSF, and plus it sends the money back. And your bills don't pay, the electricity goes out, and what do you have? You got an angry wife, and she got an angry husband. The husband is saying, I told you to pay to not use this account. And she's saying, you told me to use this bank. Mm-hmm. Lack of appropriate communication. Destruction. You destroyed everything. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so simple, right? I know, and this example, and this is a microcosm, but this is actually in the macro of it. And that's why when you're working throughout these different, the process, the communication, and the knowledge, it's always going to be a work in progress. You know what I mean? Like we have to continuously get more clear. We got to get clear. We got to get clear. And this is part of the reason why those who are working so hard and they have such successful businesses is that this is exactly what they're doing. There's a guy, huge real estate coach. His name is Mike Ferry. Mike Ferry is a huge real estate coach, been coaching since 1976. I've never coached with Mike Ferry, but he's like one of the godfathers in coaching. I actually want to go see him speak. And what's so interesting is he says, I've been giving the same speeches, or I've been giving the same presentations, and he's an awesome speaker, right? Since 1976. But from 1976 until now, the years have changed, but the message has gotten so much more clearer. And so one of the things that he tells us, and when he's talking about sales, and now my direct coach, Jackie, who comes from Mike Ferry, what she says is never sell with blah, 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 what you can sell with blah. Meaning, and you can, it doesn't have to be sales, or some of you think sales is an icky word. Let's say communicate. Never communicate blah, blah, blah when you can communicate it with blah. Meaning you want to continuously become as concise. You want to be as clear as possible. That way, when we're playing this game of telephone, so to speak, or when you're starting to disseminate the information to the lower levels of the organization, A is always going to be A, right? So if we're talking A, I go to Joe, tell your 4 people A. Can't get more clear than that. Joel goes down there, tells the 4 people, tell your 50 guys A. We're going to be doing A. Then those guys go down and do A. And then this is where even that third level, because if there's those 4 guys and they have to disseminate to 50, they have to be even more skilled with the communication, because they may know that I may say A, but the person in the back didn't hear me. So what are these people doing continuously to get better at whatever it is that they're doing in regards to communication or regards to the process? And how am I facilitating that as the mentor? As a mentor, how am I facilitating the support with the process? How am I facilitating getting these people more skilled in communication? How am I facilitating the knowledge or making the knowledge more accessible to all these different parties? It's always going to fall to us as the heads of organizations, or wherever we're at in an organization, because I don't care where I was. I always used to say the buck stops here. So I had to gain clarity from my, at the time, if I was working with the city superiors, I had to gain clarity with the superiors, and then the people who were who I was supervising. I always had to ask that extra question. Do you understand what I'm saying? Can you repeat it back to me? Do we know where we're going? Here's, we have to continuously be getting better and getting clear. That's ultimately the job. If it was this easy to communicate, if you didn't necessarily have to work on your skills to communicate, more businesses would be successful. But because it's a continuously, and this is why, and we talk about it, whatever it takes, like, do you really want to be part of these organizations, especially at the head? Because at the end of the day, you're accountable for all of this stuff. That's what we're continuously thinking. We're continuously studying. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking about, okay, I can say this better, right? I'm still going into masterminds and saying, how do you communicate this? Oh, the way you say it sounds much better. It's more clear. My clients will understand. You understand what I mean? So it's just like, this is part of the process of having a successful business, is continuously just getting better with it. Now, I was listening to somebody today, and they were talking about Warren Buffett. They say when Warren Buffett gets up for 5 to 6 hours, all he's doing is reading. He's reading stuff based on, whatever it is, but mostly the knowledge. I think one of the things he said he was reading was GM's yearly review from, like, I don't know, it was like 1950s or 60s, like one of their better years. He's reading this from their better years because from that information, it allows him to understand, okay, so what processes were they using? How can I use that in the business that I have now? Here's one of the richest men in the world, continuously reading 5 to 6 hours of gaining knowledge. Warren Buffett has to be in his 90s, probably, right? Late 80s or 90s. And this is his process. I'm getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and for 5 to 6 hours, I'm reading. I'm getting better. So it's just a continuous process. And I'm glad as we go into, we speak on this throughout the month, just throwing out some different ideas how to get better, and also not just to get better. I think we should definitely speak about how we leverage these things. It was I see 92. Is that? Yep. Is that okay? So yeah, was it the GM? It was the GM's. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, so it's like and so now we need to figure out, because he's going to take that, and this is what separates everybody. I know we talk about hard work. I'm all for it. You're listening to Will Smith's book, or you just finished that out. We spoke earlier about Kevin Hart. This guy's work ethic. The Rock has some crazy work ethic. All these stars. So work is needed, but then to go to the next level, you're also going to need leverage. That's what the internet allows. That's what mentorship allows. That's what this happens. So how do we incorporate leverage into this process to make us better?
I love it. We don't have to dive more deeper into some of these other things, because I got so much more to say, man. I feel like I'm overflowing over here. But as far as with leverage is important, right? Leverage is very important because it gives you an opportunity that's not easily come by. With leverage, you have the opportunity of gaining something for something less. The exertion of force by means of a lever or object used in a manner of a lever. The ratio of a company's loan capital debt to the value of its common stock. Used as borrowing capital for an investment, expecting the profits made to be greater than the interest payable. Use of something to maximum advantage. And that's basically where I want to hang my hat on right there, is the use of something to maximum advantage. Leverage is the use of something to maximum advantage For instance, Mike has a great deal of knowledge with real estate. So he uses that, as maximum advantage in being a real estate agent. It works, you know. Sometimes we get into fields of operation that we know nothing about. That's why Mike, I believe that's the reason why the third part of that last category was knowledge, because you need to have a lot of knowledge. You just gave the point of view of Warren Buffett, 5 to 6 hours of reading. One thing that I've learned by some of the most successful. Oh man, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I was almost finished.
All right, as long as you're good, as long as you're good. One of the things that in my research, what I have learned, the Will Smiths, the Jamie Villalobos, the Sean Villalobos, the Monty Holmes, the Rich Thollies, the Castrostans, these people that I've had an opportunity of, or Napoleon Hill, these people that I've either had an opportunity of talking with or reading in depth about, the T. Harv Eker, after having done the research in these individuals, there's something that has been a constant in all of them. Their obsession to understand what it is that they're doing. They don't want to be the one who barely knows. They want to overknow it. They want to, it's about repetition. They want to try it and try it and try it. And many of them will exclaim, you don't know how many no's I've taken before I can give you this information that you're now receiving today. And I mean, I've got a whole bunch of no's that that I've received, but mine still don't compare. And if we were to just leverage nose to nose, I think that's an oxymoron. If we were to leverage nose to nose, or some type of pun, if I were to go nose up with Sean Villalobos, the amount of no's that he has received over mine are comparatively the same amount of no's, the same amount of yeses to the amount of success as far as it goes in tangible assets. I haven't met 20,000 no's in one given profession. Remember, I'm not talking about just all over the place. People, when you say no's, well, when I was a kid, well, that's great. I mean, if you're a track and field and you're running the 400, how many times have you lost the 400 before you won? Period. Don't tell me about a mile. Don't tell me about a sprint. Don't tell me about a jump. Don't tell me about a hurdle. Just the 400. Because it's like being laser specific, and it's the same thing. How many times have you had difficulty in your relationship with your lady? I can tell you, I got a lot of times that I've had difficulty. That's the reason why I can talk to somebody, because I got 25 years of difficulty and we're still going strong forward. So you want to come talk with me? I got a whole lot I can tell you about. Why? Because I'm taking the nose for you. So if we get nose to nose, knee to knee, elbow to elbow, I can have a conversation with somebody. I tell you this, I know this much about real estate, but my brother over there knows a whole lot more. So I'm not going to go and lean on my own thought and my own understanding for real estate. I'm going to go see an expert. And I think that, Mike, you said that really well earlier when you said when you can't afford a coach, maybe that's the time that you need to actually get one. Yeah, that's deep. That's dope. That's real. And that's exactly where I am. So going back to the subject of this month is how to make relationships or business meaningful and successful. This is what it's all about.
And I think you just delved into it. That you delved into, especially when you relate it to, it's easy for us to relate it to business, but I think all of these things kind of follow along the same pathway, and that's where we're using the same ways to describe, or the same framework, excuse me. And so with the process, communication, and knowledge, we need to be gaining clarity. We need to stay focused, which you just mentioned. Focus meaning I'm dealing with this, with this thing, this one industry, and I'm taking the nose. And here's the thing: once you get to a certain point, you kind of now you know what's a lost cause, or who's open to whatever you have to say, or you kind of know like the speed bumps that are going to start to that may pop up in the future, because you know when you're already heading in that direction, right? And then the last part is the perseverance of it. Then you got to just persevere through it all. Here's one of the things that I think, especially this generation, because we have so much information, so much knowledge, and everyone wants to be a jack of all trades, which I think it's okay to know a little about a lot, right? There's nothing wrong with that, being well-rounded in conversation, being able to hold a conversation in regards to different things. It also says a lot about you when you can just be quiet and take in information from someone who's actually an expert in that field and who has been doing it for a long time. When Joel starts talking about relationships, it's time for me to shut up and start asking questions, right? And that's a way that you can also be well-rounded in conversations. You don't always have to give your input into it. You just ask questions. Hey, brother, when this, and I think Joe knows I do this often. I do it often with the brother, especially in regards to things that I know he's an expert on. We talk about marriage. We're talking about the Bible, his Bible studies, etc. This guy has extensive knowledge in these different things, and I'm asking questions like, so what does this mean? I'm reading this chapter. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it? I don't need to express anything because the brother already understands, and he's already went in depth, and he's going to give me this scripture. He's going to give me that scripture. Like, there's so many different things. So to be well-rounded doesn't mean you necessarily need to know everything. It means you need to ask. You may need to start asking more questions in regards to it. So that's one thing in regards to being well-rounded. And then the perseverance, the focus part. Be focused on what it is, because it is going to take the 10, 20,000 no's for you to become an expert. Get these no's out, right? And learn from the no's and and make the adjustments to the no's. Start to understand, whatever business you're in, start to understand your customer even better, because the better you understand your prospective customer, really the better you start to narrow in on the customer that's best for you, that fits and you have a standard for them, the easier everything turns out. Can you imagine getting on the phone or doing business with people that you like every day? That's when it's not even a job. That's when you just, they already know you, they like you, they trust you, they understand that you can bring them results, and you can have business is like the last 2 minutes of the conversation. You know what? At the end of the day, Joe, go ahead and write up that policy for me. You know what I mean? After we already spoke for 20 minutes about life, right? 2 minutes later, hey, Joe, yeah, go ahead and get that policy. You know what's best. You're the expert on it. Mike, yeah, great. Mike, come list the house. Yeah, the house is ready. Just let me know when you need access to it for the photographs. Or Mike, I have this property that you may be interested in. Let's go ahead and go take a look at it. The last 2-3 minutes of the conversation, right? Like these are the type of things you want to get into, but that takes that focus. And you're not going to know until you get those no's, or you get those yeses, and you get those yeses that possibly should have been no's. And you're like, man, I don't know why I'm working with this person. This person just put me through the ringer, because all money is not good money, right? Or because it might end up being no money, right? You might end up expending more than you're getting. So you get that, and then it's the perseverance through it, which I definitely think is in the relationship category. One of the things that we haven't went through in our generation, we haven't really had a terrible time. Like you know how I know we haven't had a terrible time is because of things about some of the things that we are arguing about or is huge news to people that we're wrapped up in. And you're like, is this what's on our mind today? As a whole, like we're talking about, I'm gonna bring it up. We're talking about Kanye's shirt. Is that the biggest thing that's going on in your life right now? I remember my mother, we were talking about, in her time, she was talking about, not having shoes to go to school, not even being able to go to school, right? Well, just like life, things that were a little bit more harder, but our generation has gotten so to a point where it's so soft that we're starting to talk about things that, and this is not passing judgment. I'm just showing how easy we have it. And if we're grateful in our understanding of knowing how easy we have it, we can fully take advantage of it. And then so we have to persevere over some of these, what I consider smaller things, or at least, things that we can have a conversation about that aren't, detrimental. It's not life threatening. It's more so, and that's, I guess that's what we need to separate. Is this life threatening? Is this entertainment purposes? Is this a room for improvement? Like how, or where do we see this occurring in our life? So how does this affect our community? That kind of thing. So it's like we need to start being grateful for it, and that way we persevere over the little things. We're not arguing over the little things. We're focused on this goal and this vision, because these little things or should be little things, right? Those things are like these speed bumps that are affecting us from getting us to the point that we want to get to, which for me is legacy. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that my kids are in a great position. I want to make sure that in 10, 15 years from now, I have the options to do what it is that I want to do. I have the options to buy something I want to buy. I have the option to go to work today. You know what I mean? I have the options, because that's what this is all about. This is about starting to give us options. Forget about money. We had a conversation about this yesterday. Money is supposed to be used as a tool. So more so you gain money to gain more options, and really not even so you should gain influence to gain more options. You should gain knowledge so you have more options. Like that's what we're here for, is to give ourselves broader options, give our kids more options, give our grandkids more options, give our friends a lot of options. Our friends should come to us and say, this is a great thing. This is something cool that's happening. How can we make this happen? Right? Our friends, our family, our network, etc. And we should be able to give to, and we should also be able to ask as well. You know what I mean? We want us all to be successful. That's my thought process on it, wrapping it up.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And I think that you explained that leverage part too really well. Just when it comes down to it, leverage is very beneficial, y'all. So we should learn how to leverage things. We should learn. I think that it's powerful, and many people don't mind being leveraged.
At all.
They don't mind it. If you go and you meet up with your pastor, he does not mind being leveraged. When you go out and you find somebody who needs help, and they need counseling, your pastor wants to be leveraged. He wants you to use him as that point of contact to help them, because that's his design. His design is to help and to console broken hearts. That's his design. It's his desire. If every single member in the congregation would leverage the pastor, and the pastor would accept that leveraging, then your congregation would grow. So can you imagine what happened if you did that in your family? Your mom and your dad desire to be leveraged, not left out. They don't want to be left out of a child's life. They don't want to be the last one. They were the one who brought you into the world. God blessed the seed to grow, but afterwards it was on their back. They've been carrying that baby, and making things happen. And then when children get a little older, they stop leveraging their parents. When they're younger, they're like, oh, don't worry about it. Just come to my house. Dad, mom will give you a cup of Kool-Aid. I'll get you some water from my house. They don't even think about it. They don't even think about what it costs to have a soda, or to take that drumstick out of the fridge and give it to the neighborhood, or to grab that bag of chips and to hand it out to everybody, or to pass out all their goods, or to bring the kids in when their friends in, when the house hasn't been properly cleaned. But they're leveraging their parents' estate, their parents' wealth, because they believe that what their parents have will benefit their friends. So we should always be leveraging. It's not taking advantage of, because people, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think it's the second one up, is that we all have a desire of belonging. Leveraging equals belonging. When people don't leverage you, you don't belong anymore. You don't fit in. And it's a sad day in life from that point on, because nobody feels like you're worth the conversation. You want to be leveraged. So just remember that, because sometimes we don't want to leverage people. Leverage them. Leverage me. Leverage Mike. Somebody trying to figure out how to get a house. Say, listen, I don't know a whole lot about houses, but there's this guy that's on Community Beacon. He seems like the real deal. I need you to just check out one of his shows or check out what it takes. I think he even puts his phone number inside the screen. Give him a phone call. Leverage him. Leverage. And then send a comment. Put in the DM. Send it there. Oh, okay. It's the third one up. Belonging and love. Physiological, safety, then belonging and love. That's leveraging, y'all. That's what it is. And then that perseverance, that's huge. So we definitely want to get to perseverance. I love it, Mike.
Absolutely, brother. This that was a mic drop moment and a huge gem in regards to leverage. We should seek to be leveraged, right? Like that's one of the highest things you can do in your life, and that's actually how you get to the money as well. If you can, what people are seeking for your product to be able to leverage them, because it's convenience. It's convenience. Whatever it is that you're creating, whatever your service, definitely in a service business, is convenience. It's the ability to use and leverage someone else's knowledge to make your life easier, right? So that really cleared up some stuff. I'm going to add that to a part of my presentation when I'm giving out a presentation, that we should all seek to be leveraged. I'm almost confused at now when to certain things, and when people feel as if there's a conversation in regards to being the help me, right? Mm-hmm. Being a help me, and as if that is a lower status of someone. We're in the age of everyone wanting to be the boss. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a boss. I'm the CEO. I'm the this. I'm the that. Understand, and you need to understand that just being the CEO or being the head of something, like, your job is to serve. Like, you're serving everybody. You understand what I mean? Like, it's like you have to make sure everybody is good. You have to. So at the end of the day, like, you almost have to submit the most, because it's like that's your job. Your job is to be there to serve everyone. And if you're truly this boss or whatever it is, you get paid last. There were times when I had people in my company and I'm like, it's the payroll is coming. I need to pay out. And that was my last. So after I paid the payroll, there was nothing left. Who gets the nothing? You know what I mean? So now I need to figure out how to make sure that there's overflow, right? So now you got to figure out, okay, how to get it overflow. But I'm not going to not pay someone. That's the I look for people. I'm trying to figure out ways on how to pay people. If it's one thing that I dislike is owing somebody something. I've never been, and God forbid, some people you all don't want to pick up your phone when you owe somebody something, but I'm always the one to pick up the phone, like, oh God, I know I got to figure out a way to pick it. I don't want to be the person who's looking at my phone like, should I pick it up or should I not pick it up? Thinking about excuses of what I need to do, etc. Like, no, let me just pay you, and I'll figure out my side on the other end. If this is my last 100, let me give 100 to this person, and I'll figure out the rest. I can eat tuna. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to go out to eat today. But I think when you become this person in charge, this boss, CEO, whatever it is that you want to call it, that's just how you have to think. You want to be what they quote unquote a servant leader, especially when you've selected the right people to be around you. You want to make sure that their needs are being met. Okay, so man, this is being leveraged is a mic drop. We kind of spoke in regards to the perseverance. I think we were getting into that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the perseverance. I think I kind of delved into it a little bit in regards to, and so I may have to. I love this internet because you all are gonna probably, people can come back 10 years from now. But Mike, you said first off, I'm learning every day. So once I get new information submitted to me, I'm going to, once I have the new information, I can make it, I can change my mind. For what the new information supports. So I think the way I worded something a little bit earlier in regards to things not necessarily being tough or hard or whatever for another person, because and listen, I totally understand. Some people's anthill is some people's mountain. Some people, so it goes on. So I don't want to belittle anyone and some of the thoughts that they have or some of the things that are of concern in their mind. I just want to impress upon people that we live in the United States of America. And if you were to travel just a little bit and go to some of these third world countries, my parents came from a third world country. I was sent there, 2-3 months out of the year, no electricity, no running water inside the house, no air conditioning, no TV. Like this is where we lived. It was hot. It was the summertime, etc. And this was luxury, because my mother was when she came up, I saw her house. It was 9 of them, and it was a two-room house, not a 2-bedroom house, a 2-room house with 9 siblings. And the mother and father living in that property, and she made out just fine. So I understand the hardship. So it's like I'm comparing it to, of course, my experiences and my understanding. And I think this is probably why a lot of us need to get better understanding and understand that in the period that we are in now, not to say that we're not facing anything that's hardships, but in the grand scale of things, we are this is probably one of the best times. And we're in one of the best countries. I haven't been to every country, but I understand America. I understand some other countries I've been in, to actually get to the next level. And the things that we're talking about, that 9 times out of 10 have nothing really, don't really affect us. And I got caught in the trap as well. There's times when I'm thinking about things longer than I possibly need to be thinking about. But that's when we have to bring it back in. And that goes back to the focus of it. That's when we're just going back to focus. Okay, I need to focus on what I can change and what I can't change. And that might make all the difference. How can I, if something's bothering me, how can I detach from it and put it out here and say, what can I change and what can I not change? Because if I can change it and it means that much to me, then I can work on that. And if I can't change it and it's just something that's to be talked about, then maybe I can put that to the side and actually focus on what it is I need to focus on, which for this all intents and purposes are our relationships, our purpose, and what was the last thing? Our business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get laser focused. That's what we all have to do. And it's not just getting laser focused on this, right? In order to persevere, you have to stay laser focused. Mm-hmm. And that's all in the mind. It's 90% mindset, 10% skill set. You don't have to be the greatest at everything that you do, but you for sure have to believe that you can do it.
Say that again.
Yeah. You have to believe it. You have to believe it so much so that you can see it when nobody else can see it. Yeah. I love it. Let's do it, man.
I love that you just mentioned that. And in regards to the belief and mindset, here's something tangible. And this is what I was working on, especially in regards to the belief side of it. Because, we should have faith, right? I understand we should have faith. But as humans, it's the human, just being in this human experience, oftentimes our faith can be tested. And we often look for things to prove it. You know what I mean? We look for models. We look for things. So when you're coming up with your different affirmations or your different belief systems, here's a real quick trick to help you out on that. Is to add a because on the end of it. Okay, so whatever, a because. And so now you can seek times, because all your experiences you should be able to leverage. You should be able to use and leverage. So if you are having issues with the belief system, look at something that you've done in the past that you possibly thought at the time you didn't think you could do, but you actually did it. You actually persevered. You actually came out triumphant, and put that along with your affirmation, right? So it could be something as simple as I am a great father because my children are happy and healthy, right? Like if you're having troubles, there's doubts being cast across to you, and where you're not a good father. Okay, you're a great father because these are your children. I am a great father because I am trying my hardest, but because I work, like, just use certain things that you have evidence of to help with your belief system. You know what I mean? If you're having trouble in the faith department, if doubts are being casted on you, start to use some of these different things to help propel you so that you are what it is that you say you are. Because that makes a lot of things that makes things, once you have that belief in you, there's no turning back. It definitely helps you to persevere, right? It helps you to keep on going because you have that belief system. Like, I'm not where I want to be, but I know I can get there because I've done this before.
I love it. Set your mind on things above, not on things of this earth, right? That's what that belief system is all about. When that was written inside the Bible, it was to keep our thought process on, heavenly thoughts. The highest heaven of the body is the mind. So you got to control your mind. You're not going to be able to believe into heaven if you can't believe into your mind. It's not going to happen. You got to believe it here first. When you believe it here, it transcends there. That's how that works. Some people don't believe here. So that's the reason why they have trouble with believing that there is a God, because they don't believe here. A lot of people are waiting, Mike, I think you just said it. A lot of people are waiting for some type of miracle to happen inside their life. What about life? Did we forget that? I mean, honestly, it took the dissecting of human bodies and anatomy to figure out exactly how this thing was working, but nobody really understands exactly what the makeup, the bioengineering of what a sperm is. Like, what on earth? How do you just create that out of cells? Oh, well, you got cells that create other cells. Well, what's the cell that creates the other 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 cell? Like, how finite can you get? Well, there's an atom. Well, what created the atom? Like, at some point in time, you cannot fathom the type of work that has been put into the human body. So when it comes down to believing, it's a lot easier to say, I believe in luck, than it is to say, I believe in God. And I may have went way far right on this thing, but I'm not too concerned about that because that's just me. It is what it is.
Walk and talk miracles. When you take that first breath, that's what you got to be grateful for in the morning. When you wake up and open your eyes, that's it. Everything else, all your self-worth, your belief system, your faith, whatever it is, that it should just be And I know we're working on it, right? Like I think every day we're working on it. We're gaining more information about ourselves. But once you remember that you and yourself are as a miracle, as a brother just stated, like that's it, man. That sounds like a mic drop to me. I'm nothing for me to say after that, man. Nothing for me to say after that, guys. This month is gonna be fun. As you can, I had fun during this episode. I think this month is going to be really good. We're going to continue dropping bombs. I learned some things today. Yeah. I'm telling you, brother, that leverage thing is that's good. Definitely something for us to think about, man. Just being of service and being able to be leveraged. That's a blessing within itself, because that means that you can contribute. If you can contribute, then that you're worth something. So. Yeah. Guys, let's work on it, man. Let's work on our processes. Let's work on our communication. Let's work on our knowledge. Let's gain the information. Let's get better and better each day. That's what we're here for with a community beacon. And I'm excited about this month. So appreciate you all for checking in. What do you got to say, brother?
All right, brother. Man, I just want to say I've enjoyed you. I'm so glad that you brought the PCK to the table. I like that. It's like it's a package deal. Process, communication, knowledge, and then you flow right on into that leverage, and then persistence. So, those are the 5 words of today's program, y'all. Look forward to it. Look forward to it. Look forward to it as we continue to delve in deeper into how to make, a relationship or business meaningful and successful throughout this month. Listen. Wherever you are, I need you to go on to your YouTube or your Facebook. Do it now. All right. If you're listening to this, do it now. If it's on repeat, do it now. Go on to YouTube, check out Michaeldseville, check out Tenacity Foundation. There's a button there. It says subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Bing. All of a sudden, I want you to go next door to it and hit the notification button. Ding. And that's going to remind you that we are up and we are rolling. By the way, while you are there, go ahead and watch a few of the videos. Hit the like, hit the love, show some love, drop a DM. We're glad to hear from you. We're glad to know what you're thinking about. Talk to us. We'll talk with you. Anyway, from the Community Beacon, that is your real estate king, Michaeldseville. I'm your motivatorpreneur, Joel, from Tenacity Foundation, saying peace, good night, and we love you.